Welcome, everyone, to the AIScento Podcast, where we explore the intersection of artificial intelligence, leadership, and the future of human potential. I'm your host, Okoro, the founder of Auspicious AI Blockchain and the AIScento, and where we help leaders and organizations to navigate the AI revolution. Today's conversation is a powerful one because while everyone is talking about technology, very few people are talking about passion, the human energy that actually drives innovation. Our guest today is Lori Palm, CEO and founder of Core Passion Inc., global passion and leadership expert who developed core passion assessment used by organizations around the world to align purpose, performance, and profitability. Lori has spent decades helping leaders to discover the inner drivers that fuel great work and meaningful impact. Today, we're going to explore why passion is measurable, how leaders unlock performance through purpose, and how AI will reshape human passion and leadership in the future. Lori, welcome to the AIScento Podcast.
Thank you so much. I was excited to be talking about all these topics, passion and AI and technology. I started using technology back early in the early 2000s when we developed our online assessment, the Core Passion Assessment. And so I have been involved with technology for many years. I, of course, have the expert technology people who help me because I'm not a technologist, but I have been using it for years and years. So I love it. And sometimes I get very challenged by it.
Okay. So starting with your story, let's start with your story. You built multiple
Okay.
companies from branding, communications to speakers bureau, even an ostrich ranch, I believe, which I definitely want to hear about.
Yes, that is true.
But
Yes,
what
that
ultimately
one I
led you
call the
to
ostrich.
create? Yeah, what ultimately led
Yes.
you to create Core Passion?
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur. And so I see possibilities everywhere. And when I started my speakers bureau in the 90s, and I would talk to people and say, I'm always looking for what are the unique words of wisdom that you have to offer to the world that no one else has in exactly the way that you do. And of course, that's what you market, something that is unique. And so if I was working with, let's say, 10 people who do customer service, speakers and consultants, what was the unique thing that each one brought to the table that was a little different because that's what you're selling. And so as I started to talk to people and discovered I'm really good at finding out those questions. And so I would talk to people for a long time and we'd figure it out. Well, somebody came into my life in about 2003 and said, we can duplicate what you do. And I said, I'm all about what's the uniqueness, not the duplication. And she said, well, of course, we can't duplicate you, but we can duplicate your process. And at that time, I didn't really even know I had a process. Of course, I did. Um, but it was intuitive and I took people through a process. And so she helped me see that I could have the process. And she said, we can we can automate that. And so that was the first step of taking everything I had been doing and automating it. And as I was reflecting today about that, it was really, in one sense, it was like AI back in the early 2000s, taking this process and then creating an assessment. We used one of the top methodologists in the country to create the assessment so that it's reliable and so on. And otherwise, you can't take it into corporate America if it's not. And so when we did that, out came all this information by people taking the assessment, and we discovered what was the driving forces that drive behaviors, drive decisions, drive performance. And when you can put words to that, all of a sudden people started to realize, well, who am I? What do I really want to do? And my part of that was always, and how can you make money doing what you're feeling called to do? So that's where it all started back many years ago. And from there, we've created a lot of different programs. We work a lot with teams about communication, collaboration. How do people work together? We say that we solve the people puzzle. How do you put the people together so they can actually talk and hear each other and communicate? Because your performance is going to be so much better. And that hits the bottom line. So that's a big piece of the story.
Did you say that you were using AI all the way at the beginning? Did I hear that correctly?
No, no. What I said was, um, today, as I was thinking about this and knowing we were going to talk today,
Mm,
I thought about back when we developed the assessment
mm,
and put the words into it. It was like AI
mm,
back. It wasn't AI, but it was only it was my words back then.
mm,
And now we are actually creating our own AI that will take all of our stuff and put it together and make it, faster
mm.
and so on. So that's in development right now. Um, so no, it's how do you find all of that stuff that's underneath? And that's what AI does. It goes and searches and finds all this stuff. I did it with people
Mm.
back when we created the assessment.
So what was the moment when you realized that passion could actually be measured and applied in business?
It was well, I measured in a couple different ways. I measure it physically. I actually use, if I'm speaking or training, I use, do you know what divining rods are? They're used to measure, find
I've heard of
water
them,
and
yeah.
electricity. Okay, you can do it with people too, and I do,
Mm,
and it blows people away. And so I have a process for that. And so they can physically see the energy,
mm,
and I take them through a process for that. But with the assessment, it's measuring people's reaction to the words. And amazingly, and if people follow the directions, which most people don't, but if they do, it says throughout your life, how has this shown up? And they're measuring from 1 to 7
mm,
how these words have shown up in their life. And so when you put that all together, you come out with this amazing report that tells them who they are and what drives them. What is the energy? Because it's energy. Passion is energy. It shows up in behaviors and decisions, but it's the energy that's driving those things. And so it's a fuel source. And when you combine it, like with business, particularly, you see that when you can understand what drives people, we think that when we're doing something and we see somebody else doing the same thing, that they're doing it for the same reasons we are. Generally, they're not. There's
mm.
a different driver. Now, it looks like they're doing the same things, but it does not come from the same energy, the same driver. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do
Mhm.
you?
I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's when people understand that, and when you're working with people, for instance, on a team, um, when they can understand, first of all, who are they, but then who are all the people on their team and what's driving them,
Mhm.
and how can you communicate so they can actually hear what you're saying and
Mhm.
understand why you're saying what you say. So that's um, that's how we measure it.
Okay. So you created the core passion assessment, which has now been used for over 2 decades. For people hearing about it for the first time, what exactly is core passion?
Core passion is an energy source. It's the energy that drives you. We're measuring something nobody has measured yet, at least that I've found out about. It's measuring what I call the frequency of the inner spirit. It's that energy that drives you, and so that's what it's measuring. It's not measuring personality. Now it shows like it is, and there's things that come out from your personality, but this is pre-personality. It's measuring the energy that's driving the things from your personality.
And how is it different from simply asking people, follow your passion?
Well, most people think when they think follow your passion, it's like, what am I passionate about?
Hmm.
Things that I'm passionate about. Like when you're doing a career, and we actually have a program called Career Seeker. What am I passionate about? But this core passion is the energy that's driving the passion about something. It's the pre 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 what's the word I want? It's the energy that drives it. It's the source, not the what's out here. It's what's in here. And that's the big difference. When you start with what's in here versus what's out here, usually we're reacting to things, but when you're consciously creating, it's coming from inside.
Why do some people feel energized by work while others feel drained doing the same role?
Well, that's a really good question. It's a lot of the people who come to me come in their maybe mid 40s. Some people used to call it a midlife crisis, but it's really we many times when we start out in our life, we're doing things because we're supposed to, or it's where we can make money, it's what we should be doing, and you can be very, very good at what you're doing. But when people get to a certain point, if it doesn't match who they are and what they're feeling passionate about and what their drivers want, then all of a sudden they got to do something different. And that's a lot of the people that I work with, and a lot of people. So if they're, for instance, let's see, somebody who is in a leadership position
Hmm.
and they are loving being a leader, but they may not like being a leader where they're at. And so part of when we're looking at career, we look at many different aspects of it. Say you're an accountant. Well, if you're in a public accounting, if you're in private, if you're in a nonprofit, or if you have your own business, you're still an accountant, but what you do it and how you do it and within the environment you're doing it, that's why for some people, they like being an accountant, but they don't like where they're at because of the environment. It doesn't match who they are and what's important to them and what the values are. So that's why some people like what they're doing and some don't because it doesn't match who they are.
And how do organizations misplace talented people?
How do they misplace them? Well, I think sometimes it's especially now with if AI is looking at all the resumes, are they matching it up correctly?
Right.
Probably not. And they get hired for a certain thing, and if there's no place to go in the company, they're not matched with what they want to do or what they're feeling, what they're good at, or who they're working with.
Mm-hmm.
The percentages of the Gallup percentages of engagement, they're terrible. Globally, it's like 88% of the people don't like what they're doing and would move if they could.
Mm-hmm. It's a high number. So let's talk about passion versus performance. Many leaders still think of passion as something soft or intangible, but your work suggests something very different. The passion can directly impact productivity, collaboration, and profitability. From your experience, what happens inside an organization when people are aligned with their core passion?
They work better together, for one thing. And I think that it starts at the top and goes down throughout an organization. And the leaders who get it and really embrace motivating, inspiring their people to be all that they can be. And I think it comes down to culture. It comes down to, are they communicating? Are they collaborating? Are they working together?
Mm.
And so for a leader to inspire people, I've had leaders we have, like, if I'm working with a team, we have a team report. So it shows what we call the top of the 12 core passion codes, which is what we've identified. The top 5 are your strong drivers. They're your greatest gift, and they're also your greatest challenge. When you're out of balance, we call it the challenge. It's not good or bad or right or wrong, but you're not in balance. You're not your most productive self. You're not at the top of your game. And when you have a team that isn't performing, there's many reasons. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's outside of the people, but generally it's the people. We always want to blame technology, but
Mhm.
generally it's the people. And how do they come back to balance and work together and create a process that ties all that together.
Mhm.
So if they're working on a project, the team, are they all seeing the project in the same way? Do they have an action plan and a strategy to accomplish it? The thing that never gets taken into account
Mhm.
is the passion. And we have a process called passion, vision, action. Passion, who are you? What's the energy driving it? Vision, what are you trying to create? What's the project? Action, what's the activities that you have to do to make it all happen? So many times we just start doing things. We don't really know where we're going. Or we might have a vision. We have no clue how we're going to get there, but we don't take into account what's the energy that driving all the people in this. And when you can put all those 3 things together, that's where you're going to have a high performing team.
So what changes in leadership behavior?
So tell me a little bit more. What are you looking for?
So when you're looking at kind of I guess the kind of the more tangible ways that, this shows up in the workplace and within the team, are there changes that that this would prompt in leadership behavior or that are needed in leadership behavior to make this, more successful in terms of being able to kind of leverage the approach that you're speaking about here? Or would leaders just behave the same way that they've always engaged?
No, they have to change. They have they have to, I think, first starting with themselves. Are they in a place of knowing who they are? Are they in a place of being able to communicate their vision to the people that they're working with? And can they see the people for who they are? You were saying, people get misplaced. Well, are they seeing the people as as authentic beings, or are they just seeing what the actions are the people do, and that would be the outcome versus the people? And if you really want to have a good organization, you want everybody to see each other. You want to see the people, and that's what leaders need to do, and to have a vision that people want to follow. And a lot of people they don't know how to craft a good vision, and they don't know how to get there and what's the strategies and their actions to get to that vision. So if people are going to follow a leader, they have to have something to follow.
And what are the business outcomes that you've seen implementing this kind of approach, making, core passion a central focus?
Well, I worked with a manufacturing company. This was a few years ago, and they wanted to change their culture. Usually, we get brought in when things aren't working well. If everything is going great,
Mhm.
they're not gonna call us because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want
Right.
to make any changes.
Yep.
So usually there's something happening. So this company, small, it was about 200 people, manufacturing company, and they wanted to create a better culture. That was the beginning part of it. And we started, and this was an amazing project because the owners and the leaders, we started there. We spent 3 days with the top leadership. Then we moved on to the management. middle management, and then the employees, and down to the janitors. Everybody took the core passion assessment, and then we did training with them, and it was amazing what it did to their bottom line, what it did to people being much happier, not leaving. So it definitely, and this was over the course, it doesn't happen overnight. This was over the course of about year and a half that we would come about every quarter and do training and work with people and talk with people. But when they saw and could see when that second level of management came in and they were able to see what the core passion codes, the drivers for the top CEO, the top people, they're like, wow, they're letting us see who they are. Well, that gave them permission to let people see who they are. And that really shifted everything.
Let's shift gears a little bit now to the AI side of things. So, AI meeting human passion, we're entering an area where AI is transforming almost every industry, and that's not an exaggeration.
Mhm.
But technology raises a deeper question. If machines take over more routine tasks, what becomes uniquely human? Which, as far as we know, AI doesn't have this aspect of passion, though we don't know. But what becomes uniquely human?
I think with I know it's really a good question, and a lot of people are asking that question. It is about, it's what you put into AI is what you're going to get out of. And I think that the people, it's about asking a good question of AI.
Mhm.
I know when I use it, I start with my own stuff first. I do a lot of writing and creating curriculum and all that stuff. I start there. And then I put it through AI because sometimes AI says it better than me. But the core aspects, the unique words of wisdom that I have that no one else has, and AI doesn't have that. Now, it might look through all my stuff and they'll see it, but they're not gonna, it's gonna be that human part of it isn't there, like you said. And I don't know what'll happen in the future. But I know for us, by creating our own AI, we're going to be able to utilize all the gifts of AI, but it's going to come from our stuff. Um, so the human part of it, I still think we need people because again, you have to ask the good questions, you have to notice the patterns. AI is going to give you a lot of stuff, but you still ultimately have to decide which of that stuff are you going to use. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Along those lines, from your perspective, Lori, how do you see AI reshaping the role of passion, creativity, and human purpose in the workplace? How do you see it fitting?
Hmm. I think that if you start with the people, so okay, so you're going to create something new. The idea of that is generally going to, I don't know, I would see it coming from people, and then it can be fleshed out with AI. But I guess AI will be coming up with a lot of stuff. I don't know. That's $1 million question.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that AI will free us up to be able to focus on the things that we are most passionate about, but then you also hear the stories of the person who's like, I want to write songs and do this, but then the AI is writing songs and doing plays. So it is very
Yeah.
questionable what will be the outcome of that, right?
I know that creativity, say writing a book, or putting out your own thoughts, finding what is it you actually want to say, and most people don't know. So then they just use AI. But if you're really doing that searching of who am I as a person and what do I have to offer to the world, AI is not going to give you that. Might help you put more pieces to it, but I think the exploration of us. Maybe that's going to give us more time to find out who we are and then go from there. I don't know. Yeah, it's I'm a musician as well, and so is it gonna might write some music, but is it gonna play the music that I play
Mm,
in the way that I play it? Probably
mm,
not.
yeah. Do you think AI will push people toward their core passion, or could it disconnect people from meaning if leaders aren't intentional?
I think if people are frustrated and unhappy, I think they're going to, well, either they're just going to stay there, or they're going to explore more who they are. And so in that way, they're going to explore what their passion is, what their energy is, what drives them, what makes them authentic. And once you have words for that, I think AI doesn't scare you because you know who you are apart from all the stuff out there, that AI connects with. And when you understand who you are, I think then you don't have as much fear about it.
So let's talk about leadership in the AI era. Many of the leaders who watch this podcast are navigating digital transformation inside their organizations. So I've been involved with for many years as part of our auspicious and the different things that we do for transformation. Obviously, it's accelerating now. What advice would you give leaders who want to maintain humanity and purpose while adopting new technologies like AI?
I would say that, yeah, I mean, you definitely want to adopt the AI where you can, definitely. But I think don't let go of the people. Don't let go of the humanity, but really helping people. Some of the companies I'm working with right now are really helping their people um, to find out who they are, from that authentic perspective and the communication. Okay, we're still talking to people. We're still communicating with people. And you can tell when AI, well, most of the time you can tell when AI is doing it or not. And I think that communication is so key to collaboration. You're still going to have people working together. And by a leader fostering that communication and teaching people how to really listen and hear what somebody is saying from their perspective, stand in your customer's shoes. I think that is always going to be there and it's going to be what makes a strong organization um, who uses AI.
What should leaders think about human potential versus automation, right? So automation is something that everybody's striving for now, to automate every process, automate everything they can.
Yeah.
Um, how should leaders think about that, and what mistakes do you think organizations are making today in that respect, if
Mhm.
any?
If any, I think there are probably a few. Um, I think, well, if you look at the things that by automating it, it'll make things smoother, flow, you know, work better. Those tasks to be automated, I think, are great. And will it cut out people's jobs? Maybe. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at, well, what's next for me? Because what I've been doing is no more because AI has taken it over. But then what do I want to do? And what can I do? And what would I give to the world by doing this? And how can you make money doing that? Whatever it is, I think there'll still be lots of things that people can do, but they're going to be new. They haven't been here yet because they've been doing what they did before. So I think we're going to see a lot of new um, small businesses, maybe. I don't know, because people are going to be searching if they've lost their job. Um, I don't know. Did that answer your question or not?
Yeah, I think to some degree, I think we're seeing a lot of things like solopreneurship increasing as well. because actually, while AI can be a challenge on one side, on the other side, it can allow an individual or a very small team to, do the things that used to require a company of hundreds of people to do. So I think it
Yes.
does allow people who do leverage it that ability and what to see. But I think a big question is, they're from what we observed, there are kind of two camps. There are people who are pretty excited and open, and then there's another group who are like really offstandish, like keep this away from me. I don't want to have to deal with this stuff at all. Don't talk about it. Right. So I think it depends, if you're kind of embracing it as okay, let me see what we can do with it, and then probably you can benefit in that way. But if you're like, I don't want to hear about it, I don't want to talk about it, then obviously it's going to be very difficult to gain any of those benefits from it.
Yes. And depending on what energy is driving you, I can tell you which for people who have certain codes, yeah, they're not going to embrace it. They don't want things to change. They created what they thought was good. They create good processes. They're your greatest gift is your greatest challenge. And the people who create wonderful systems and processes, well, when change comes and like AI, they don't want anything to do with it. They're just keep what we have. I don't want to make any changes. There'll be people, there'll definitely be the people like that. And then if they're going to move forward and be successful at something else, they have to shift and look at things differently
Mhm.
or not. And then they just stay where they're at, stuck.
Okay. So your work has been applied globally. Have you noticed cultural differences in how passion shows up in leadership or business? And do you find the core passion is universal across cultures?
Yes. And I haven't done a ton of work in other countries, but a few years ago, we worked with the International Humphrey Fellowship, and that brings, it's been since the 70s. They bring people from all over the world to the United States, and they're here for almost a year, and they're working it's usually high level officials in governments, and they work at in different departments. We were very fortunate to work with in the University of Minnesota Law School with the human rights, and people came. There were about 20 people that we worked with that came from all over, from the Philippines, from the Middle East, from all over. And again, they were very high official, and they all took the assessment before they arrived. And we met with them. We were part of the program to meet with them the first time they got together and met each other. And we had at that time, there were some countries that were basically at war with each other, but the people were not. But it was, and they wanted to see if they could work better together. And so we got to work with them for a year over the course of, we met with them like 4 or 5 times. And so I asked them, I said, okay, you're from, and there was males, females, like I said, very high level. And I said, so do you believe that the core passion assessment um, is we believe that it has nothing to do with age, gender, or culture or nationalities, that it goes across all of those. And I said, what do how do you feel? And one of the things that happened that year was they had the least amount of conflict
Hmm.
they'd ever had in the program
Hmm.
because people knew each other at a whole nother level and
Hmm.
they were able to talk together. They told me when I asked them that, they said, this goes across all boundaries.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is core.
Hmm.
It's at the core of who we are as a human race.
Hmm.
And so it does work everywhere.
Hmm. Let's go into a rapid fire leadership round. So we're going to just do quick rapid fire questions, just the first thought that comes to mind. Okay. Ready?
Okay.
Leadership is
Powerful. Did you want one word or more than one
You can
word?
add to it if you like.
I think that leadership is powerful and absolutely important. Good leadership.
Good leadership. Passion without action is
Mm, not much happens with no action. It's just stagnant.
the biggest leadership mistake today.
Not not seeing people for who they are.
AI will change leadership by
Giving them a broader perspective of giving leaders a broader perspective of anything that they put into it.
the future of human work will require more.
Creativity.
All right, so let's talk about turning passion into impact. For someone listening right now who feels stuck in their career or maybe feels like their work doesn't align with their passion, what was one step they can take today to begin discovering their core passion?
Well, they can go online to corepassion.com and take the core passion assessment,
Okay,
and you
that's
get a
fine.
21-page report. And we also have, different programs and courses and stuff too. But that's the everything. That's the foundation of all our work. So that's the great place to start. And then I think it's also about asking a question, starting to ask a question again of what's important to me and what drives me, but what's important to me and what do I really want? Who am I? What do I really want? The two hardest questions in the world.
Yeah, Lori, so this has been an inspiring conversation. If people want to learn more about your work, the Core Passion Assessment, or connect with you, where can they find you? I think you said corepassion.com is one. Are there
Yes.
other locations where they should connect with you online or social media?
Yes, I don't have those. Can I give you those and then you put them on the,
Yes, you can. If you want to just send those out
okay,
to it, add those to the show notes,
yeah,
and we will have those available for people to review there.
yes, that would be
So
great.
very good. All right. Well, so thank you so much for joining us on the AIScento podcast, where we explore the future of AI leadership and human potential. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel, share this conversation with someone exploring their purpose, and join our community exploring the future of AI and leadership. Till next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep creating the future.
Thank you, John.